Prepare yourself, Dan Saiyan.
Well, it is the end of the year, and we're closing it out with a brand new Superman that has come quite literally out of nowhere, only promoted on a platform that is getting deleted in a few months potentially, on a streaming service that nobody really has, and a streaming service that nobody has heard of, and yet this show has edits that not only garner millions of views, but also have whole songs that are dedicated to this show and one scene in particular from this program. And now the brand new Superman character that is being promoted on TikTok, this brand new Superman character is all anyone is talking about at the end of 2024. And I would say that the hype for the show called Hero Inside is only going to reach even higher levels in 2025 when Season 3 finally drops. But with the new Superman comes a new challenge for Goku to overcome, a new threat or hero for Goku to face, and that's exactly what's happening here, because as soon as this guy started making his rounds around TikTok, the common question that we always get when we get a brand new hyped up animation or character, who would win in a fight between this guy and Goku, usually takes place, and that is exactly what's taking place here. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the brand new show called Hero Inside, and specifically their very own Superman called Super Scott, and how he faces Goku and how he fares against him, because that is the question that everybody seems to be having. Can he beat Goku? So if you love Dragon Ball and you love versus battles, hit that like button, guys. That is a great way to support the channel. But let's go ahead and jump in. So if you're living under a house, because I would normally say if you're living under a rock, because that would mean that the show is everywhere and you're not seeing it, but that's not true. This show is nowhere, and yet people are seeing it. So if you're just a normal person and you haven't heard of Hero Inside, it is not your fault, because it is brand new and is only on certain streaming apps, and it just got its own dub because it is a Korean-based show. But the show basically is Pokemon with comic books. You find a comic book that is from the creator Scott, and this comic book, as long as you have imagination, will bring the comic book character out of it to life, and they have moves just like Pokemon comic books, but with Pokemon. And the one cool thing about this is that the show goes from hammy, quirky, like Avatar, The Last Airbender first season levels of kind of cringe and humor, childlike wonder and whimsy, to like amazing animation that rivals other animes and world-ending plots with high stakes and deep meanings. Like, this show is all over the place, and I freaking love it because it is just so freaking random with its themes, but I think it's meant to be that way. It's supposed to be for kids, but it's supposed to give deeper meanings to certain things, and it's supposed to make sure that it's a little bit more mature for those older teens. Plus, the battles are awesome, and whenever a character actually pulls off a move or pulls off their special attack, like real life world-ending damage actually happens, which is actually quite destructive, with the city getting destroyed relatively easily, honestly, with just the smallest of moves. But the main character has really strong imagination, and he starts trying to find the hero books with other characters in order to find the artist or the creator named Scott. While in the flip side, there are multiple evil villain organizations that have taken these comic book heroes and are using them for bad purposes, and there is one such evil organization whose leader is actually the first comic book hero that Scott ever made, and the most corrupted one, and he is Super Scott. Now, Super Scott is basically Superman. It's what it's meant to be. It's their version of Superman. He is the strongest out of all the heroes, and that is a huge feat because there are a lot of strong heroes. The fastest of all of them, and he's got eye vision, laser eye vision. He is more dripped out than any of the other ones, and he has got massive aura points without even trying. The one issue is that not just anybody can unleash Super Scott, and he also kind of does his own thing when he's unleashed. You have to have some extreme imagination to be able to release him, and that is something that his handler, this little old lady who is going through dementia and is really sick and believes Super Scott is her son, she is a Pulitzer Prize winning author, and that's the reason that she's able to unleash him. But once unleashed, he does whatever he wants because, again, he is the #1 hero. He is the strongest one. So the feats of Super Scott is actually pretty impressive because he's their version of Superman. Now, he doesn't do everything like to the strength of Superman because a lot of his blows are super directed toward certain characters. There isn't as much destruction as there would be against these characters and their surrounding areas because it's all directed to the main character that they're fighting, to the main guy that Super Scott is fighting. And so this battle on the bridge against another character that is essentially Ultra Ego Vegeta, this battle actually shows how strong Super Scott actually is and how directed his blows are specifically so the bridge does not collapse. And you see the fallout from that during this battle. So can Super Scott defeat Goku? I think the answer you already know is no, he cannot. It's a Superman-style character. We haven't seen the feats of Superman yet, but he's basically around the same level as Homelander, Omni-Man, etc. I'm not saying the same strength level, but he's around that tier. He's not anywhere near Superman tier as of yet. He probably would have a good show of it, a good fight against this Goku right here, Kid Goku, but he would still not be strong enough to fully defeat him. So who can Super Scott actually defeat? With pure strength and skills alone, Super Scott can defeat easily Homelander. Homelander is low difficulty for Super Scott. Super Scott can be on the same strength level as Metro Man, but Metro Man, I believe, is far faster. He stopped time, which is something that we have not seen Super Scott do at all. Super Scott is not strong enough to defeat Omni-Man or Invincible, who both could easily destroy the civilizations on the planet, and we have not seen Super Scott do even close to that as of yet. Even though he hasn't unleashed all his strength, we have not seen him do anything even close to that. I do believe though that Super Scott would be able to go toe-to-toe with All Might, and Super Scott against heroes like Titan, he would completely destroy, but Super Scott against Superman, he would lose very easily. Now, this is all based on Super Scott's strength and speed and his abilities, but he's got one huge hiccup that he's trying to overcome in the show, and that is he's still stuck to his comic book. Therefore, he's stuck to the imagination of his reader, and if the reader gets knocked out or something happens to them, then he goes back in the comic book. Hopefully that explained it. If you have not seen Hero Inside, you have to go on Roku channel, which is like their streaming service, and the entire 2 seasons are there. Or if you go on Tubi, there's a season and a half there you can go watch. But it's a really good show, so I'd highly recommend watching the entire thing. But let me know if you guys have any more questions, and drop your thoughts in the comment section below.
Subscribe for more content.